At dinner, my brother publicly humiliated me, calling me a loser. But what he didn't know was that I held a secret. A truth so shocking it would shatter his perfect image. That night, I exposed everything, and the family would never see him the same way again. I come from a pretty ordinary middle-class family. Nothing flashy, nothing wild, just simple, grounded people who worked hard and believed in doing the right thing. My mom and dad are both school teachers. They've been married for over 30 years and still hold hands when they walk down the street. That's the kind of household I grew up in. Loving, humble, a little quirky at times, but solid. I'm the youngest of 3 kids. My sister Emma is the oldest, basically the peacekeeper of the family. She's a nurse, and not just any nurse. She works in pediatric oncology, which means she's one of those rare humans who can hold a dying child's hand and still radiate warmth. She's got this calming presence, like nothing rattles her. When things get heated, especially between me and my brother, she's usually the one trying to de-escalate with a well-timed joke or a change of topic. Then there's Ryan, my brother, the golden boy. If you just met him, you'd think he had it all. Good looks, charm, confidence for days. And to be fair, he can be magnetic. He knows how to talk, how to command a room, how to make people laugh or squirm. But underneath all that swagger is someone who's always been chasing the spotlight, desperate to be admired, even if it meant tearing other people down to lift himself up. Growing up, though, we were tight. Ryan and I were practically glued at the hip when we were little. We'd build massive Lego cities across our bedroom floor, complete with fake downtowns and traffic systems made of Hot Wheels. We made up spy agencies in the backyard, complete with cardboard badges and Nerf guns. We'd sneak snacks into our rooms and stay up late whispering about how we'd grow up to be astronauts, or secret agents, or whatever the latest cartoon told us was cool. Back then, he was my hero. He stood up for me when kids picked on me. He taught me how to ride a bike. He even took the fall once when I broke Mom's favorite lamp. But things changed, and not suddenly. It was more like a slow, bitter frost spreading across the warmth we once had. It started in high school. That's when Ryan discovered sports, popularity, and the rush of attention. He bulked up, got into varsity football, started dating cheerleaders. He became that guy, the one teachers liked, girls crushed on, and guys wanted to be friends with. I, on the other hand, took a different path. I was the kid who stayed home on Friday nights to code a text-based adventure game. The one who drew anime in the margins of my notebooks and watched YouTube videos on how to build websites or hack a Raspberry Pi. I wasn't antisocial. I had friends, I had interests, but they weren't the kind that earned you clout in the high school hallways. That's when Ryan's teasing started. At first, it was playful. Geek Squad to the rescue, he'd say when I helped fix the Wi-Fi. Or basement boy, when I stayed up gaming too late. I laughed it off. I figured it was normal brother stuff. But it didn't stay that way, as he got older, and more obsessed with image. The teasing got meaner. Less like jokes and more like digs meant to humiliate. If I showed up to a family event in jeans and a hoodie, he'd call me Steve Jobs' broke cousin. He'd joke about how I was still playing with Legos, just digitally now. One time at Thanksgiving, he told a table full of extended family that I still lived in a fantasy world where HTML would make you rich. No one said anything. Not even my parents. They just sort of smiled awkwardly, as if that was just Ryan being Ryan. And that silent acceptance, stung more than anything. Because deep down, I think I always hoped the kid who built spy forts with me would come back. That one day we'd reconnect as adults and find some common ground. But Ryan didn't want common ground. He wanted a pedestal. And if he had to step on my shoulders to reach it, he wouldn't think twice. Now let me be brutally honest with you. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. I don't drive a Tesla with butterfly doors or post wanderlust pics from Bali with captions like, finding myself one island at a time. My life is ordinary. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm a freelance web developer. I design websites, fix broken code, manage SEO for small businesses, and occasionally help a local bakery set up their online ordering system. It's not glamorous, and no one's asking for autographs, but it's real. I make decent money, around $65K a year, give or take, depending on how many gigs I take on. Some months are slower, others busier, but I always pay my bills. I never borrow money from anyone. I've even started investing a bit. Nothing wild, just index funds and a little crypto for fun. I live in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in a quiet part of town. It's nothing fancy, but I've made it mine. I've got a bookshelf I actually read from, a coffee maker that's way too expensive for how often I forget to clean it, and a desk with 3 monitors that make me feel like I'm running NORAD. My place smells like fresh coffee and sometimes burnt toast, and when the sun sets, it spills golden light across the wooden floors. But to Ryan, that's loser behavior. See, Ryan measures life in Instagram likes. If it's not shiny, fast, or high status, it's not worth noticing. He's always been about the presentation, the image he projects to the world. It's like he's starring in a movie where he's the hotshot lead, and the rest of us are just extras who forgot our lines. He wears designer clothes, not knockoffs, but real-deal limited edition drops. He's the guy who shows up to family BBQs in Yeezys and a Rolex talking about the markets, like he's some Wall Street wolf. He eats at places where the menu doesn't have prices, and the water comes with a cucumber slice. His Instagram looks like a stock photo reel of what ambition should look like. Gym selfies, exotic cars he doesn't own, and business class airplane seats with captions like, on the grind, none, no days off. He tells people he's in business, consulting. That's it. That's all. If you press him for more, like what he actually does or who his clients are, he gets vague fast. I work with high-level people, he once said. Can't really talk about it. You wouldn't get it. He literally said that to my dad, once. My dad, a guy who's been teaching kids algebra for 30 years, just smiled politely and nodded, probably resisting the urge to smack him upside the head with a chalkboard eraser. To Ryan, life is a constant PR campaign. And anyone not buying into the hype, irrelevant. So naturally, when he looks at me, sitting in my little apartment, making websites for yoga studios and dog groomers, he sees a loser. A guy who never left the minor leagues. Never mind that I'm happy, stable, and living a life I chose. In his mind, if you don't have a 6-figure income, a personal trainer, and a motivational podcast, you're wasting your potential. It used to get under my skin, I won't lie. I'd wonder if maybe he was right. If maybe I was playing it. Too safe. Living small. Settling. I'd look at my empty fridge and compare it to his Instagram stories of sushi boats and bottomless champagne. It messed with me. That little whisper of self-doubt. Like maybe I was being left behind. But then I'd remember what his life actually looks like, beneath all the filters and rented cars, because I've seen it. I've seen the cracks, the missed calls from debt collectors. The frantic texts asking to borrow money, only to be followed by a post bragging about his successful Q2. The time he got rejected from 3 legit job interviews because, surprise, he didn't actually have a degree or a portfolio. The fact that he once offered to consult for my friend's startup and ghosted after 2 weeks when they asked for deliverables. He's not successful. He's just loud. Meanwhile, I've built a client base from scratch, written code that powers real businesses, and taught myself everything I know without a single fancy certificate. I've helped small-town florists sell bouquets online for the first time. I've helped a single dad grow his podcast audience from 200 to 2,000 subscribers. I've sat in late-night Zoom calls with struggling shop owners, walking them through how to connect Stripe to their checkout page. Not because it pays extra, but because they needed help. That's not flashy. but it's real. And while Ryan might have the spotlight, I've got something he never will. Peace. I don't lie awake at night wondering if someone's going to expose me. I don't have to invent job titles or script my answers to basic questions. I'm not faking it till I make it. I made it, quietly, on my own terms. So yeah, I'm not rich. I'm not famous. I don't drive a Tesla or vacation in Bali. But I've got something Ryan doesn't even know he's missing. Authenticity. And that's not loser behavior. That's winning in real life. It was a Saturday night in early fall. One of those evenings where the air starts to feel crisp, the kind that whispers, holidays are coming. My parents decided to host a family dinner to celebrate my dad's 60th birthday. Nothing huge, just us siblings and our partners, all under one roof, eating Mom's famous roast beef with gravy that tastes like nostalgia. My mom went all out. I mean, the dining table looked like something out of a magazine. Candles, linen napkins, the good china that only comes out 3 times a year. The smell of roasted garlic and butter practically hugged you at the door. My dad was grinning, ear to ear, already a little wine happy. Emma brought homemade pie. Vanessa, Ryan's girlfriend, brought a bottle of red and a polite smile. And me? I brought myself and a quiet promise to keep things peaceful. Because let's be real. Family. Dinners always ride that razor-thin line between wholesome bonding and emotional landmine. At first, it was fine. Emma and I caught up. She was telling me about a wild hospital shift she had, something about a guy who came in with a fishhook stuck in his lip. Classic Emma, calm in chaos. Vanessa asked me questions about web development, and for a moment, it actually felt like we were a normal family just enjoying each other. Then Ryan opened his mouth. He had that look on his face. You know the one. The smug grin, the leaning back in the chair with a wine glass thing, like he's about to deliver a TED Talk no one asked for. He took a sip of wine, glanced around the table like he was preparing an audience, and then turned to me with that mock-serious tone he uses when he's about to be a jerk. So, he said, dragging it out. Little bro, still chasing those online gigs in your pajamas? The room froze, like someone hit the mute button on the entire evening. I felt every eye shift toward me. Emma paused mid-sip, eyebrows knitting together. My mom looked down at her. Plate, lips pressed tight. Even Vanessa looked uncomfortable, her smile faltering for the first time all night. I let out a small, awkward chuckle. Still building websites, I said lightly, trying to keep the mood intact. Pays the bills. And that's when Ryan laughed. Not a chuckle, not a smirk. A full theatrical belly laugh that echoed through the room like a punchline to a joke. No one else found funny. Man, he said, shaking his head. It's wild. I'm over here closing 5-figure deals with real clients, and you're still playing with HTML like it's 2005. It was like watching someone slowly knock over a line of dominoes. Emma's face shifted from neutral to, oh no you didn't. My dad looked disappointed, the way a teacher looks when a star student starts acting out. My mom reached for her water glass like it could hide her from the moment. And Vanessa? She just stared at her napkin, like it might give her an exit strategy. I forced a tight-lipped smile. Tried to swallow it. I really did. But then Ryan leaned in, elbows on the table, eyes locked on me like he was about to drop the mic. You know what you are, bro, he said, voice dropping a notch. You're the family loser. Everyone's moving up in life, and you're just stuck in neutral. Boom. There it was. He didn't say it like it was a joke anymore. He said it like it was fact. Like he genuinely believed it. Like he'd been waiting for the perfect moment, in front of our parents, our partners, our shared history, to finally, publicly, put me in my place. My mom gasped. Quiet, sharp, like she'd been slapped. Emma dropped her fork. "Ryan," she snapped. "What the actual hell is wrong with you?" But Ryan just shrugged, took another bite of mashed potatoes like he hadn't just detonated. A verbal grenade. "I'm just being honest," he said, mouth full. He needs to hear it. And something in me snapped. Not like a dramatic table-flipping rage, but like a clean, sharp click in my chest. The kind you feel when a door finally closes and locks behind you. Because it wasn't just the job comment. I'd heard that crap before. From Ryan, from randos online, from that voice in my own head. On bad days, no. It was how he said it, the setting, the audience, like I was some walking punchline. Like my life, my work, my existence was just a setup for his little roast session, and he thought he could just walk away from it. Again. But what Ryan didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd been sitting on something. Something big. For months now, I'd been keeping quiet about a little side project I'd picked up. A certain online gig in pajamas that wasn't just paying bills. It was about to blow up in a way even I hadn't anticipated. And in that moment, that humiliating, stomach-twisting moment, I realized something. I didn't want to keep quiet anymore. Because sometimes silence isn't grace. Sometimes silence is letting bullies win. So I smiled. Not a fake smile. A real one. The kind you smile when you know something they don't. And Ryan? Ryan didn't see it coming. But, oh, he would. Soon. Now, here's where things take a turn. The kind of twist you only expect in movies or Reddit threads that sound too wild to be true. About a month before that infamous dinner, Ryan had stopped by my apartment. Totally casual. He had his old laptop tucked under one arm and this annoyed look on his face, like he was dealing with something far beneath him. "Hey," he said, barely inside the doorway. "This thing's acting weird, freezing up. Probably malware or whatever. Mind taking a look?" I said, "Sure." I've fixed his tech before. iPhones with cracked screens, game consoles that wouldn't boot, even helped him recover photos from a wiped USB. Ryan might talk like I'm some kind of basement-dwelling loser, but when his digital life breaks down, guess who becomes his personal geek squad? Anyway, I took the laptop. It was a beat-up Dell, older model, one he said he only used for travel work, which already sounded weird, because Ryan treats old tech like it's contagious. He'd never be caught dead using a scratched-up anything, unless it served a specific purpose. So I opened it up later that night, ready to run a virus scan and maybe clear some cache files. Routine stuff. I didn't go digging. I didn't plan to pry. But then I saw it, right there on the desktop, a folder named Tax Docs. Now, that might sound totally boring, totally normal. Everyone has tax files, right? Except something felt off. It wasn't the name. It was the icon. Not the usual default folder one. This one was custom. Slightly transparent. Looked like something someone changed deliberately, to not draw attention, but also make it easier to spot if you knew where to look. Curious, I opened it, and that's when the curtain started to peel back. Inside were a bunch of PDF invoices, dozens. Some were titled things like OFB, Invoicey, 3Q, Client Receipt and Premium Booking, Earnings Breakdown May, and other vague, business-sounding labels. But once I opened one, my stomach did this weird little flip. Because these weren't invoices for consulting work, or business reports, or freelance gigs. They were linked to something called Only for Bosses. Now, if you've never heard of it, count yourself lucky, or innocent. It's basically a luxury escort service platform disguised as a high-end, executive companionship network. Think private jet photos, fake lifestyle coaching packages, exclusive memberships, all to mask the fact that it's a glorified escort site for the ultra-wealthy. But Ryan, He wasn't a client. He was working for them. And I don't mean as a web admin or IT guy or security consultant, no. He was managing bookings, handling clients, coordinating model schedules, sending invoices. And as I kept scrolling, I realized something even more insane. He was also stepping in himself. That's right, there were photos, explicit ones, some high-res studio-type shots. Others looked like selfies taken, in hotel bathrooms, full-body mirror poses, some just graphic. And yep, it was definitely Ryan. His face, his body, his smug little smirk that I've seen since childhood, except now paired with, well, stuff I definitely didn't need to see. Some of the invoices had his name, not even a fake alias. Just R. McMillan slapped right there. Under service provider. There were email confirmations, client feedback logs, even a note about a last-minute Vegas trip for VIP birthday weekend. Full discretion required. I sat there frozen, hand still on the mouse, just processing. Now let me be clear. I wasn't judging what he was doing on principle. Look, people hustle in all kinds of ways. I work with creators. I've done websites for adult performers, cam workers, OnlyFans models. Whatever pays your bills, right? I'm not here to throw stones. What shocked me, what lit me up inside, was the hypocrisy. The dude who spent years mocking me for being a nerd, who dragged my name in front of family, called me a joke. The guy who strutted around like some alpha male LinkedIn god, spewing phrases like scaling enterprises and thought leadership. This guy was out here moonlighting on a discreet escort platform and pretending like he was a Fortune 500 advisor. And no one knew. Not my parents, not Emma, definitely not Vanessa, who was dating the guy under the impression he was some kind of mysterious corporate fixer. And he had the nerve, the audacity, to call me the family loser? I sat there for a good 20 minutes, not saying anything, not even breathing right. Then I did something I didn't expect myself to do. I saved the folder, not out of spite, not to blackmail him, just as a safeguard. A tiny voice in my head whispered, "Keep this, just in case." And so I did. Tucked it away in an encrypted folder on an external drive. Locked it with a password so obscure even I had to write it down. At the time, I didn't plan to use it. Honestly, I didn't want that kind of ammo. I didn't want to hold that kind of secret. But you know how life works. Sometimes you don't pick the weapon. The weapon picks you. So there we were, gathered around the dinner table like a classic family sitcom setup. Except this night was anything but sitcom material. The warm light from the chandelier cast a soft glow over Mom's perfectly arranged roast beef platter and the mashed potatoes piled high, but the atmosphere felt anything but cozy. Ryan was sitting there, chest puffed out like a rooster who just won the cockfight. He was riding his usual ego wave. That smug grin, the subtle eyebrow raises when he owned a conversation, the casual throws of shade toward me like I was some kind of background noise he could mute. I'd tried to stay quiet most of the night, rolling with the usual jabs, still stuck in pajamas coding websites, or when are you going to get a real job, loser? But this time, I wasn't going to let it slide. So I looked at him, dead in the eye, and said with a calmness I didn't feel inside, "Hey, Ryan, what was the name of that platform again? Only for what?" His eyes flicked up sharply, like I'd hit some secret alarm button. "Only 4 bosses, right?" he said, voice just a notch too high. The whole table went quiet, like we'd just stepped into an episode of a crime documentary. Emma's brow furrowed deep. "What's that?" she asked softly, suspicion creeping into her tone. Didn't hesitate. I pulled out my phone, unlocked it, and with a few swift taps, I brought up the folder I'd found, the one he thought was buried and forgotten. I swiped through to a screenshot I'd saved, a crystal clear image of one of his business bookings. Vanessa leaned in, curious and tense. Ryan's face went pale. Then he snapped. "Don't you f***ing dare!" he hissed, standing up so fast his chair scraped against the floor. But it was too late. I held the screen up for everyone to see, and I read the text aloud, slow and clear, every word like a hammer. Client. Invoice for Ryan K. Services rendered. Overnight companion. 8 hours includes travel. Mom gasped softly, her hand flying to her mouth, eyes wide with shock and confusion. Emma whispered, barely audible, "Oh my God." Vanessa's face drained of color as she stared at Ryan. "Is this real? Like, actually real?" Ryan stumbled over his words, the confident mask crumbling. "It's not what it looks like," he stammered. It's business networking. Important stuff." "Networking? While naked?" I shot back, the sarcasm sharper than a knife. He lunged at me, rage sparking in his eyes, but Emma quickly stepped between us, her voice firm. "Ryan, calm down." Vanessa grabbed her purse without another word and headed for the door. Ryan followed her, yelling and cursing under his breath. The room fell into an awkward, heavy silence. Mom sat back, her hands trembling slightly. Emma gave me a look, half shock, half thank you, before turning to comfort Mom. And just like that, dinner was over. No desserts. No family toasts. Just the truth, laid bare on the table. Mic dropped, and silence screaming louder than any words. It's been 2 long, tense months since that fateful dinner. 2 months that have felt like years in some moments. Ryan hasn't spoken a single word to me since that night. No text messages, no calls, no awkward family gatherings where he pretends like everything's fine. Just complete and utter silence. It's strange, really. The way someone who used to be your brother can suddenly become a ghost in your life, like he vanished without a trace, but the wounds he left behind still ache. And then there's Vanessa. She dumped him the very next day. The whispers started almost immediately. Word traveled fast through our circle, and through Ryan's social media. Apparently, 2 of his clients found out exactly how he was really making his money, and they backed away fast. I'm not going to pretend it didn't feel good, in a small, quiet way. Watching someone who spent years pretending to be this untouchable, slick businessman finally get exposed was satisfying. But I'm also human. I've seen the way my parents have been shaken by all this. Mom's been quieter than usual, her eyes often clouded with worry. Dad's always been the strong, steady rock, but even he struggles to hide the cracks. It's like the family foundation cracked too, and we're all trying not to fall apart. After one particularly heavy night, Mom pulled me aside quietly, almost as if the walls had ears, and thanked me. "Thank you for standing up for yourself," she whispered, her voice cracking. It wasn't a loud, dramatic thank you. No hugs or tears. Just a small, quiet moment of acknowledgement. But it meant everything. And then there's Emma. She's been my rock through all of this, the calm in the storm. A couple of weeks after the dinner, we were sitting on the porch, drinking tea, watching the sun dip behind the trees, and she said something that stuck with me. He's been riding that fake alpha persona for years. Someone needed to rip off the mask. That hit hard, because it wasn't just about exposing Ryan's lies. It was about reclaiming our family's truth, about standing up against the fake bravado and the toxic ego that had been poisoning us for years. It feels like we're all trying to pick up the pieces now. Ryan's absence is a strange kind of presence in itself, a hole at every family event, a silence that echoes. But I'm learning something too, that sometimes being labeled A loser by someone who's living a lie isn't a failure. It's an opportunity. An opportunity to stand tall, speak your truth, and redefine what success really means. Because at the end of the day, I might not have the fancy clothes or the big social media following, but I've got something Ryan never: will, integrity, and that's worth more than any paycheck or empty title.